Oh no, destination. Guess destination has an issue or something. Is that mine?
Wait, an error occurred. Wait a moment, then try again, it says.
It says we're live.
Yeah, it says live on mine.
Does it?
Yeah.
I think it's someone's Twitter is not live. Oh, right, now we know.
It is now.
Yeah, it's all good. Great start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spotlight on Spurs. Coming back for another episode after the 1-1 draw with Eintracht Frankfurt. Today's guests, we've got a couple people making their debuts. Well, everyone's making their debuts considering it's a brand new show. So I'd like to welcome in Ryan. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, all good, mate. I'm all good.
Good to come. Thanks for coming on, mate. Much appreciated. We got Jose. Nearly done it. I nearly done the wrong one. How are we doing, mate? How are you doing? Oh, we lost you there.
Yeah, all good, mate. All good.
Can't see. You seem to be stuck, but I can hear you, which is great. Nige, how are we going?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thanks for having me on.
No, appreciate you all for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. And then Dan, feeling much better now.
Evening, Luke. Evening, panel. Big up the chat. Thanks for having me on.
No, much appreciated. Thanks for coming on. I really, really appreciate you all coming on. So obviously, game's just finished. Not long. I haven't been able to see any of the conferences afterwards or any of the managers having chats or anything like that so far yet. But obviously, one all draw. I think quite a few of us probably had the same expectation that we needed to have at least a goal advantage going into the second leg. But what's everyone's thoughts on? I'll start with you, Dan. What's your thoughts on that one?
Not good enough. Not good enough. This was the biggest game of the season. And yes, I know we had a little rally in that second half where we could have scored. You know, there's a 5-minute period where we should have scored, but we didn't. But on the whole, we just didn't attack consistently throughout the game well. We gifted some chances and we were lucky we didn't concede more. And just very disappointed, especially that first half as well. Like, the players didn't seem up for it. We were just... I don't know. It was a massive occasion today. And I know we haven't been playing well leading up to this game. I know that, but I just thought that the players would just raise their levels for this match because we needed to go into the next leg with at least a couple of goals up to stand any chance of getting through. I thought Frankfurt, they were okay. They weren't amazing. They had a game plan to sit in and play on the counter-attack, and they did their job. They got the 1-1, and I think they'll fancy themselves in the away tie next Thursday.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we could have gone up another level. Would you say that today's performance was a step up from what we've been seeing then?
No, it's just what we've been playing like all this season. Yeah, look, we did have some really good chances, but it was a little flurry, wasn't it? A little flurry.
It was all in the space of about five or 6 minutes.
Yeah, we just there wasn't consistent attacks throughout the game, especially that first half. We just looked aimless. I don't know what's the matter with this side. And I just thought, and even though, you might not think the manager's doing a good job with the team, but you just would have thought the players would want this game, find that extra step, that extra level to get us a result. And I am very, very disappointed. I really am, because I thought, well, at least give us something going into that next leg. Yes, I know we didn't lose. Yes, there's always a chance. I get that. But we've got to be real here. Frankfurt, when we go to their ground, they're going to be different. They're going to be attacking us, and it's going to be really, really tough.
Yeah, completely get that. I definitely feel like the away leg is going to be a completely different kettle of fish from what I've been hearing about Frankfurt, especially the away fan, the home fan. Sorry, it's been apparently it's a really grueling atmosphere, and every time we seem to have gone into a game like that, it's not come out of it doing too well. I think that was why a lot of people feared like Galatasaray and things like that. So, completely understand it. Nige, you got anything to add on that?
No, it was kind of a typical Spurs performance for me. We go a goal down. We do that a lot at White Hart Lane. We rallied a bit. We scored a good equaliser in the second half. It just feels like one of those games we've had so many this season, especially early on in the season, where we weren't playing brilliant, but we would have a 10-minute spell where we would score 2 or 3 goals and win the game comfortably. And it looked like we might do that tonight when we hit the bar a couple of times, force the keeper into good saves. But yeah, it just wasn't our night in front of goal. And it was a concern that for me, Frankfurt didn't really look interested in attacking too much. But when they did, they opened us up quite easily. So that's a concern for the second leg for me.
Yeah, it was definitely. I just feel like every team looks dangerous against us. I don't know whether it's just. I wouldn't even say it's necessarily just since Ange's been here. I feel like every time teams attack us, I feel like they're always going to concede no matter what's going on. But yeah, they did seem to sit in quite a bit, didn't they? The only thing I can think of is that maybe playing away from home suits their style a little bit better, because they are someone who kind of lets you come onto them a little bit. I know maybe when they're at home, maybe the crowd expects them to be able to come onto us a little bit more. Now, whether that's a good thing, I don't know. I'm not gonna make a point to say that's a good thing for us. And if they start attacking us more, maybe we're having more issues. But yeah, I definitely feel like the counter attacking TK, whatever his name was, he seemed to be quite dangerous, especially with that ball over the top. I think we handled it well at times, but yeah, we just always look like we're sliced right open for that. Jose, what do you reckon? Jose, sorry, I keep getting it the wrong way around.
I thought it was a good performance. I'm totally different to the first two guys.
Why? Why is it a good performance?
Okay.
We didn't win.
Okay, we didn't win, but we put a performance in. So
How?
that's what I'm saying. What? It's a good performance. We put a performance in. What are you saying? We didn't put a performance in because I think that you know what? For me, right? Because some people, I'm not saying anyone on the panel, but some people have preconceived ideas. If I look at the rest of the games that we've played lately, today we put a performance in compared to other games that I've seen us played lately. We put a performance in, and you know, a lot of people like using their stats and facts. I'm not one for them, but today I'm going to use it. And if I look at my stats and facts now, we had 10 shots to their 6. They had 4 to 4-2. We had 32 touches in their box to their 13. I look at the stats, and the stats were all in our favour. We played a lot better than what we have done recently. For me, it's like pick. It was a good team. For me, it was a better rounded team performance than what we've done recently. And for me, if I have to pick players that underperformed, you know, I couldn't pick loads that underperformed. I think players did quite well today. And it was a European game, totally different game of football. And for next week, we're still in the tie at 1-1. And for next week, going away, yeah, they've got a loud stadium, fantastic. But we won't play the same football we played today at their ground. Today, at their ground, we're going to have to play counter-attack. And from what I hear from a lot of people is we're a better counter-attacking team. We're a better counter-attacking team. So for me, it's not all dead. I mean, at the end of the day, I look at the chances we had and the chances that were created, and it might not be as many as what people would like. But from what we've been doing recently, I thought that was a decent performance for what we've been producing recently. Now, at the end of the day, we're still in the tie. For me, we're still in the tie. I just got a difference of opinion. We're still in the tie. I'm not going to beat up the team on tonight's performance. I thought Udogie stepped up and played really well. Probably his best game of the season so far. I thought Van der Ven and Romero done well at the back today. Porro, I thought he did well. Bentancur, for me, was man of the match. I thought Bentancur was here, there, everywhere. He mopped up everything. His passing was on point. His defending was on point. Bergvall did a lot of running about and a lot of the cat donkey work for me today. I thought Maddison found himself in spaces. I saw Maddison playing in a 10 role today. He was the furthest of the 3 midfielders quite often today. So I can't say Maddison had a bad game. And he set up Porro's goal. And for me, the forwards, I thought Johnson, I thought all 3 put a shift in for different formats. If I was going to say, for me, I thought the weakest player for us tonight was Sonny, if I'm going to say from the 3 forwards. I thought Sonny didn't offer as much as Solanke did all the running and all the donkey work again. I thought Johnson played and wasn't knocked off the ball as easy as what he normally is. You know, for me, it was a better team performance than what I've seen for a while. And so I'm not going to beat the team up for a performance I saw tonight.
Oh, Joe, we should be beating the team up, man. We should be winning that game. Yeah, this is not good enough, man.
So what we're saying is,
do you think that was a good performance?
So what we're saying is,
not a good performance.
So what you're saying is,
we didn't win the game.
Okay, so what you're saying is Eintracht is shit. Is that what you're saying?
No, But we're at home. It's a quarter final of the European tie.
And
Yeah, we should be putting in a better performance than that.
I think, to be honest, I actually think that they let us play and they just sat back and said, we'll take the 1-1. Because the minute we go back to their ground, I think it's a totally different story. They're going to be on top of us, pressure. And the minute they get that first goal, and you know it's going to happen, I think we'll be in big trouble, like really big trouble.
Yeah, I think
they haven't got the greatest. They haven't got the greatest home record, by the way. I don't know what people are shouting and lauding about. They haven't got the greatest home record. I've looked at some of their games and I've seen the games that they've lost, and they've lost to some small teams in Germany.
I think you're right about the preconceived conceptions. I think that is a part of it. I think we go into it. I had a quick look on Twitter before I came on, and there was loads of Ange getting slaughtered left, right, and centre about taking Maddison off, and different bits and pieces. Last week he got slaughtered for bringing Bergvall off. If he'd have brought Bergvall off again, everyone has slaughtered him. If he brought off Maddison, then people will slaughter him. Because of the situation we're in. He's in a no-win situation. About what he does, people will moan. So if he doesn't bring Sarr on, everyone will say, "Why haven't you made a sub?" If he brings off Bentancur, who's probably the best midfielder today, everyone will moan. If he brings off Bergvall, they all moan last week. They'll probably moan again. So I do agree. I do think there's some preconceived ideas that it doesn't really matter what he does unless he wins. Then it's absolutely a travesty.
Was it a good performance, Luke? Though, would you say it's a good performance?
I think it was better. I think it was better. I think we should have won the game. I think when their keeper made our keeper made one save, theirs made 5. We hit the bar twice. I think we should have won the game. I think it should have been. I think 2-1 would have probably been fair. I think the ref was horrendous. The ref gave so many things to them and didn't give them to us. Now, I'm not saying that changed the game, but I definitely feel like if that was a 2-1, I think that would have been quite fair. I think other than the goal that they scored, and they had a last second break in the first half, there wasn't, when you actually look at it, there wasn't that many chances they created, and that goes to show that Vicario made one save in the whole game. But I'm not saying it's at the level we should be at, but the level this year, I definitely think it's an improvement on your Fulham performances and things like that.
Slightly better performance. Okay, I'll give you guys that, but it was not a good performance because we didn't win the game. And it's a massive disappointment. Massive disappointment.
I think it's disappointing not winning the game, but then there's also the other part of the context of that is they are third in the German league and we're 14th in the Prem. So if we was having a good season and that was the result, then maybe I would be a little bit more like. But I do think that there needs to be an improvement on that. That's the starting block, and if we play like that next game, I don't know if we'll.
But that's the thing. I agree with what you're saying, but the way I've watched Frankfurt, that's the first time where I've actually seen them step back and give someone respect. And I think they gave us, as I said, too much respect. But when we go there, I'll bet you any money it'll be a totally different story. And they'll be pressing us from minute one, and they're going to basically have a completely different tactic. That's what
but do you reckon that was it because they scored early? They scored their early goal, and then goals change games. I know it's an old cliche, but it does, doesn't it? If they never scored until the 60th minute, or they never had a goal in the first 10-15 minutes, maybe their whole game plan changes.
Yeah, I read a report that apparently a lot of their media said they're happy to take a 1-0 loss. That's how confident they are about us going to them. So I think they'll take a 1-1. That's how confident they are at home, and they think their fans will push them through it. I can still see it. If we don't, we have to step up probably another 2-3 levels when we go to their ground, just because of the atmosphere alone. I think because I think I don't know. I can't. We've not won. How many big games have we won? Apart from I know with Man City and Aston Villa, but how many have we won where you're thinking, can we handle it? And especially a different, like a foreign atmosphere. It's like the Galatasaray game. I don't know. I don't know if we can do it.
Galatasaray game we made. I know where you're coming from, and I don't think that this is a recent thing. This has happened over a long period of time. I mean, I remember our away record, even at home under Poch, our away record towards the end of Poch was absolutely terrible. So yeah, I don't think this is something new, but I do think that Galatasaray, there was loads of changes made. I think we started that game with Lancashire up front. And the big game thing in the Premier League, I don't think we've won that many big games, but we did beat City, we did beat United, we did beat Liverpool in the first leg. They are pretty big games, but then we also freeze on big games as well. So
that's what I'm worried about. Yeah.
I was expecting if we won today that it would be a bit more of a snatch and grab. To be honest, I thought we was not probably going to play well, but might grind it out. So I was quite surprised that we managed to create. I mean, I don't remember the last time walking away from a game where I felt like we should have scored 2, maybe 3. And I think today we could have, because we, as I say, we hit the bar twice. The keeper made a great save from Son. And then in the last second, Van der Ven probably should have done better, to be fair. He should have probably buried that in the last second. But I think you're right. We at least go into next week. If we'd have been 1 or 2-0 down, you're probably thinking next week's going to be a disaster. Whereas at least now we've got something to kind of
there's a little bit of hope. There's a little bit of hope.
I do think that Atike up front, he was a lot more dangerous than I thought he was going to be. I was hoping that he would end up being quite isolated. But then you're saying that they had 2 of the quickest players in the Bundesliga on the pitch, and they weren't cutting through us like some teams have. I feel like we actually defended in okay. It wasn't brilliant by any stretch, but I feel like we defended okay. But going back to the point about some of the players, I definitely feel like Brennan Johnson he worked harder today, and I feel like he's starting to work a bit harder. But it just, unless he scores, he just doesn't. He offers so little. He just offers so little, and I agree. I think Sonny was probably the worst player on the pitch today.
I think we got to remember that we're a poor team this season.
Yeah.
You know, we're 14th in the Premier League for a reason. We're not very good, and you know, after the first 15 minutes tonight, I thought we were in for a long night. So I kind of agree. I do think it was a better performance. I think we stepped up a little bit, certainly second half, but I do think that Frankfurt were quite happy just to sit in. All I can say is we're still in the tie. You know, I'm relieved we didn't lose, because after the first 20 minutes, I thought, like I said, I thought it was going to be a long night. Yeah,
did anyone else have that feeling? As soon as they scored within the first few minutes, I thought, oh no, this is going to end up being a long one. And I think that's another part of it. And say if we do that on the away leg, that will completely change their stance and how they played. It's just scoring that early on is just, I feel that was really poor play by Romero. I feel like he had an okay game in the second half, but that in the first minute and then last minute of the first half, he was gone. He was nowhere near his position. To come inside, I think the finish was unbelievable, but he just has so much room to run into.
Yes.
And the one thing I think I know we've been missing Romero, but when Romero's been in, he doesn't let people come towards him. He goes to them, and he just let him run inside, and then all of a sudden, I just thought, this is. We know how this
I don't think he cares. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't think he cares as much. You can see like his desire. It just looks like every game there is gone. I don't know if it's just me, but he's
taking more chances. I feel like he's taking more chances on the ball now, because he's not. I think he's going. I think we probably all can see that being a transfer that goes ahead, and it does look like he's kind of like. I mean, to make the mistakes that he made in his first game back, and then to do the same thing a couple of minutes later, maybe you're right. I feel like maybe he's able to take more risks, because he's not really as dedicated to the calls. Where Son's technical ability is gone, it seems to have disappeared. Yeah, I feel like physically he doesn't look strong, he doesn't look quick, and he doesn't look confident at all. When he gets the ball and he has enough space, like the shot that he had, some of the crosses he puts in are really good. But it's almost like if you kind of pressure him in any way, he feels like he's just kind of shuts off. And the amount of times he gets the ball to feet and then passes it back to either Maddison or Udogie in a game is absolutely crazy. Agenda.
Well, look, guys, I'm just very disappointed. Look, I've just watched that game, just jumped on this stream, and this is, for me, was our only chance of really doing anything this season. The season has been rubbish. It's been so disappointing, and I am disappointed. I'm passionate about my club, and I can't call this a good performance when we haven't won the game. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't say it. I'm very disappointed. I am. I feel this was a chance. I didn't think Frankfurt were great. Didn't think they were amazing. I thought that we could have won this game. But again, it's just a lack of, I don't know what it is. Is the players' confidence? Is it the system? Conviction? Look at our forward line tonight. Solanke again, other than, helping with the first goal. But he was like a passenger in the second half. Johnson as well. He had a chance, blazed over the bar. Son was poor, and then Ange takes off your most creative player again in Maddison. I mean, I can't defend this. Madison,
As I
he's
said,
the
I
sort
feel
of player
like
can create something out of nothing.
I feel like it don't matter who was subbed off, there would have been complaints. Because, as I say, he subbed off Bergvall. Bergvall didn't play for Sweden. He was ill the whole of the training camp. He got subbed off after 60 minutes the other day, and he and Ange got booed for making that substitution. And when you actually look at all the factors, it makes perfect sense why he came off, whether he was playing well or not. And then that then comes into today. I feel like whoever he brought off with Sarr, whoever he brought off, there'd be complaints. I think Bentancur was very solid in where he played. His position sense was much better today. So if he brought off Bergvall, everyone would have moaned like they did last week, and then he brings off Maddison. And I understand what you're saying. I would have probably left him on, but I feel like he's in a situation now where no matter what,
why is it always Maddison, Luke? Why is it always Maddison?
It's always an attacking player for Sarr. Even like I heard that Andrew's football is attacking from like forward thinking, but then you take off Bergvall for Sarr. Okay, you said the thing that happened at Chelsea. Then you take off Maddison and bring on Sarr. It's 1-1. Like, go for it. That's your tactic. Go for it. But I think
one of them would have stayed on if Kulu was there. But if we don't, literally, they're the only two that create anything for us. It's either Kulu or Maddison. That's it. So if Maddison's not doing his bit for whatever reason or whatever, it seems like he only plays one game a week, Maddison. I looked through from his previous games, and it looks like he starts a game, comes off after an hour, and the next game he does 30 minutes. So I don't know whether there's a bit of an injury there that because we don't have Kulu, he's like you just have to play. I don't know, but yeah, I think that it is. As I say, I don't feel like I'm not saying it was the right decision, but I don't. It doesn't matter what he does on a lot of stuff now. It's like that I've already got an idea that he don't know what he's doing. So that's it. As I say, with the Bergvall one last week, if he brought him off, everyone would have complained. If he brought off Bentancur, would have probably been a bit more open, and everyone would have complained. If he didn't make the sub, then everyone would have complained. So, and we could say it's rightly so because of the position we're in. But it feels like whatever decision he makes is going to be a problem. I do think
the thing I was going to say to Dan is that we don't know.
Jose, I don't want to have a go at you, mate. Sorry, I don't want to come across having a go at you. I'm just very disappointed, and I was going to say something about performance.
I was going to say something about I was going to say about Maddison. Right, we don't know the levels of the players, right, and who's in the red zones and not. But it seems to be that Son and Maddison don't look like they could play more than. So if you're playing 3 games in a week, they're the ones that are going to be. They're 2 of the players that are going to be affected that don't finish 90 minutes in every game, and that's
just save him. You don't play him against Wolves. You give him a break against Wolves.
Did they both start against Southampton as well? Did they both start against Southampton?
Yeah, they did. And substituted as well. What I'm saying is, Dan, to your point, it seems to be. I'm agreeing with you, Dan, because you're saying about Maddison coming off. So I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying, but it seems to be that Maddison and Son seem to be players that they can't last 90 minutes. Because they're the ones that keep getting substituted all the time. So if you look at the 5 substitutions, 2 of them 5 will always seem to be Maddison and Son. That's all I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you. But it's just not true. I'm just saying.
Son hasn't performed well. I get him coming off. Yeah, but Maddison.
I think it's levels, though. I don't think it's just about performance. I think it's the levels.
But what happened when we made those subs? It didn't look any better, did we? It just looked a mess.
Yeah, I feel like with Maddison, it's been like it for most of it. I don't think Maddison's ever been physically a player that can go around and run, but we have seen him do it on occasion. But he just doesn't do it. He doesn't do it enough. As I say, I do think it was a bit. I can't fully understand why he brought him off, but it does seem to me that especially with Kulu not being there is no backup to Maddison. So everyone complained about the midfield he plays when Maddison don't play because it's always Bentancur, Sarr, and Basuma. I think it was the last 3 games, and everyone's like been in uproar about it. And then if he was to have like dropped him, for instance, as you say, for the last game, I think then people would have moaned about that. I mean, I feel like he's in a no-win situation at the moment, and as I say, it's where we are in the table.
He is in a no-win situation, but he's put himself there. But the main thing is you have if everyone said what's Andrew's starting 11, apart from maybe Kulu in the team, but that's just like a maybe. It's his strongest team, and it's Frankfurt's probably weakest team they've had all season because of the injuries. And it's just like he don't seem like he just wants to go for it. He seems a bit scared to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just-
I've been saying this for a few weeks, and everyone's saying about whether he will stay or whether he won't. For me, we need to get back to the teams and play in the ways that he was brought into.
yeah, just go
And
for
whether
it.
you agree with the tactics are right or wrong, that's a different conversation. But the facts are, we were brought in for him to basically be gun ho, fly people forward, and we haven't done that for a long period now. Whether that is because you've had the injuries, then you're getting people back up to match fitness, and then you're getting other injuries, whatever. I don't know, but I do feel like them performances have to come, because if they don't come, then he's here for one reason, to play that sort of football. And if we're not doing it, then I think he'll go anyway.
Don't you think the attacking play is so predictable from us? It is so predictable. The way we attack, it's the same moves over and over again. Like, he's been here 20 months, 21 months. Why haven't we got any different attacking moves?
What I would caveat that with is the amount of people that I hear say how poor Son and Johnson are, and I'm not arguing that they are or they aren't, but they are our main starting front three of Solanke, Son, and Johnson, and everyone tells me how poor they are, and we've still scored the second most in the Premier League. So I'm not debating whether they're good or bad, but if we're still the second top scorers with 3 poor forwards, then something must be working. Because if you had 3 poor forwards and you weren't scoring goals, then yeah, that makes sense. But to be the second top scorer, something must be working.
But Luke, what's your actual opinion on the way we attack? What's your actual opinion on the way we attack?
I think a lot of it is confidence based. I think a lot of it is about getting the ball. We move so slow. Everything we do is so slow. But actually, the way Ange likes to play, it's quick. Now, that's easy to play quick football when you've got confidence. The amount of times I watched, even in the first 10, 15 minutes, a doggy just kicked the ball out of play. And again, people talk about tactics and everything else. We're talking about professional footballers, players 5 yards away and just kicking it out of play. And I think it was the Fulham game, Basuma, Bentancur, or Doggy all gave away the ball 2 or 3 times with a basic 5-yard pass. They just all look like none of them have got any confidence to me. And I feel like when the confidence picks up,
to me, if 1 or 2's not got confidence, I understand that could be like a personal problem. But when the whole team, you're saying, is doing 5 missed passes here, doing this problem here, that problem there, it's not a coincidence that all these players are not looking, they're not improving, and they're all making the odd stupid mistake. Are they getting like overanalyzed by Ange? Is he telling do this, go and do that? Odogi, go and sit in midfield where he's never played before, and Aporo drop in a bit, and I don't know. I just think it's not a coincidence that they're making silly mistakes, if you know what I mean.
When we attack, right, more often than not, when we attack, if we're attacking down the left, the move breaks down. The move always breaks down on the left-hand side. Now, it doesn't matter whether Maddison goes onto the left to play the triangle, it breaks down. And the reason why it breaks down more often than not is because of Sonny. Because Sonny doesn't attack the man. Sonny gets the ball, and his first thought is play it back. So play it back in the triangle. So either play it back to your left back or play it inside to Maddison, and they play the triangles there. And, you know, if we're going to attack, if you're going to say, Luke, about the way that Ange plays or the way his system is, then we're not playing his system, because Son doesn't play his system. Neither does Brennan Johnson.
Yeah,
Brennan Johnson doesn't play system either. But with Brennan Johnson, you might get a chance of him getting a crossing or him putting a ball in the box. When we go down the left, we break down all the time, because then we recycle and we're playing backwards again. We're recycling the ball and playing backwards. I mean,
Unless we got an overlapper. You know, a lot of goals that we score, especially with Johnson with his tap-ins, would be if a doggy or someone, whoever's down the left, is overlapping, and then we get the ball in.
That's
and the
correct.
frustration for me is the amount of good balls that Poro puts in the box, and where's Solanke? I'm expecting him to be attacking the ball, and he's just never seems to be in the right place.
Because if you're playing it in from the right, if this is Ange ball that we're told about, if it's Poro putting the ball in, then the person that should be in the box beyond Solanke should be Sonny.
Yeah.
And whose fault is this thing, guys? Whose fault is it? Is it just the manager's fault? Is it the quality of player?
I think it's confidence, as he just said earlier, Luke said earlier, because Sonny hasn't taken a player on for ages. But then, as a manager, you make a decision, don't you? Do you play Sonny or do you play someone else?
Yeah, I
That's
think,
the
Wilson on the
manager's
bench.
got
I think him
Wilson.
being the captain is a big one. I think the fact that Son's the captain is the big one, because it's a major call if he drops him. Whereas if Maddison doesn't start, there's a bit of uproar in the fan base. But if Kulu's there, then there isn't really that much. But I think with Son, because he's the club captain, if you drop him, it's a statement. And I feel like it's
That's
just
silly though, isn't it? It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that.
No.
But that's not a Spurs. That's everywhere. If the club
Yeah.
captain is dropped, that's a massive. And I feel like, as you said, the whole idea of his system is to get a winger down to the byline and cut
Right,
the ball
well,
back, and the other winger to be there. And there's no surprise that actually Brennan Johnson on half of that is the best winger at the club per se in terms of getting on the end of things. But we don't seem to have the only one that actually beats his man and gets the ball into the cross is Timo Werner, which is the other worst winger in the club. So we've got the perfect player if we mix them two together.
I'll tell you who's been doing it this season, and he's a Tottenham player, but he hasn't played for Tottenham. Manor Solomon. For Leeds, the Leeds people will tell you watch Manor Solomon. Manor Solomon takes his bloody player on.
Yeah.
Manor Solomon scored goals, he's got assists, he takes his player on. He is if you're going to talk about Ange Ball, he is the kind of player that works with Ange Ball.
Yeah.
Like he's not at our club, he's at Leeds.
I don't know why we got rid of him, because he seemed like he'd done so well, especially in that Burnley game. I'm not saying he's brilliant, but he could have been a good squad player for such as injuries like we've had. So even just someone to come on the last 20 minutes, take on your man, beat him, and then cross it back. I don't know why we didn't not keep him. It was weird.
Politics, isn't it?
I think that's
Jose.
definitely part of it.
Jose, you've made these points lately about the not just Spurs, but many teams. They play very robotic.
Yeah.
Remember, I've
I
been
think everyone said that.
saying that. Yeah, and this is a problem. It's the same old move. Yeah, and it's just the players, they're scared to go outside of that system. So I think that's a problem. But also, Chris in the chat, big up, he mentioned about the tempo.
Yeah.
And I said that in the first half. We just weren't moving the ball quick enough. There was not enough urgency. It was just too slow, too pedestrian. So it's a combination of things, isn't it, tonight, really? Why we haven't got it over the line.
It's not even tonight, Dan.
Well, we're just the game we're talking about tonight. Yeah, the season's it's not good enough.
Tonight and all our games recently, and all our games for a lot of the season have been, we slow it right down. We recycle too much. I mean, I went to the second game of the season, so I went to the Everton game. And I know we won the game 4-0, but the amount of times we kept recycling the ball back and playing horseshoe football and playing it back to Vicario, when you're in an attacking position, then playing it back, and then it ends up with Vicario at his feet again. And then you're starting from scratch. Now, I know about resetting. You recycle the ball to reset. I understand that, but I feel that we recycle the ball and reset more than any other club in the Premiership, in my eyes, when we look at it. And I'm just, and that could be confidence. Do you know what I mean? That could be confidence that the person
system's rubbish.
Well,
yeah,
if the person
it's
got
rubbish
confidence to go forward and pass the ball, if the person hasn't got the wherewithal to go forward and pass the ball, you know,
I blame the system, Jose. Don't you blame the system? The Ange, how he sets this team up. I think if you had Poch managing that same side tonight, I think we would have won easily. Better manager.
The thing that a lot of the gaping holes in this squad are there whether Ange is the manager or not, and that's one of the other reasons why I'm not so fixated on Ange's tactics. In terms of, if regardless, say we bring Iriola in, we still need a right winger, we still need a central midfielder, and I think we need them with Ange. So I think that when you look at this squad, there's been so many things that have been mismanaged over the years. I mean, we spoke about earlier why was Solomon sent out. Now, politics could definitely be a part of that. It could also be the fact that we've got 7 at the club. We've got 7 left wingers. Yeah, we've got 1 right winger.
Sure.
That was before Ange. Like but
Luke, he wanted Brennan Johnson, and he wanted him. So that's his right winger. So he has to die on that hill.
Yeah, no. But what I'm saying is, there's no.
Didn't they sign Archie Gray for central midfield, for a defensive type midfielder? When that is role.
Well, he's if you actually look at his stats, he's actually played right back more than he's played in the 6. So now everyone thinks that he's going to become a 6. But yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen him play midfield a bit more this year. But I caveat that, and one of the reasons why I don't think he's played in midfield as much is because Berreval's come out of the blue. And how many Premier League teams are starting an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old as their central midfielders? It just doesn't happen, because there needs to be more experience in there.
But Luke, if you had like Poch managing that side, he would set it up differently, right? He would play with a more defensive midfielder, play with a double pivot. The team would have so much more structure to it. Yeah? The fullbacks would stay wide. Yeah, he would play. It would be so much better if Poch was managing this team with with a change in formation.
I would argue that the squad is better equipped for a 5 at the back. Definitely, I think we've got two.
That would be better.
Two wing backs. But yet again, that goes down to the whole that was before Ange. We got given a squad. He's got given a squad because obviously Van der Ven has come in, but Udogie, Porro, they were signed to play 5 at the back, and then the hierarchies decided to appoint a manager that plays 4. So, and this is what I'm saying. A lot of the issues that are with Ange, I'm not saying that he doesn't have any responsibility for any of it, but a lot of it predates him. Even injuries and things. Now, part of his system, part of the way he plays, part of the intensity of training, he has to take definitely accountability on injuries 100%. But we've had injuries for the last 15 years. We had Ledley King, who couldn't train. We had Lamella, who was at every 5 weeks. We had Sessegnon, that was way before. So we've always had injuries. There's always been an issue.
Luke, I'm sorry, Luke, but we weren't this bad under Jose, Conte. You know, we weren't.
No, I'm not saying we were
This
bad.
is what I mean. You're talking about older problems. We're this bad because we're poorly managed as a team by Ange. We're poorly coached. We're poorly set up. This is the biggest issue.
I definitely think it's a issue, 100%. I'm not saying it's not, and I do think there should have been certain tactics and certain tweaks that should have happened. But what I'm saying is, a lot of the issues when Ange goes, the new person coming in is going to deal with the same sort of problems. We might pick up a few more points here and there. We might pick up a few less injuries, depending on who it is. We might have a few more players that play in a little bit better to the way they would play. Let's say we got a 5 at the back manager and Porro went wing back, he'd probably play a little bit better than what he's. But a lot of these issues are they're planning issues in terms of what we want. Even the managers that we're now linked with, they don't play. Some of them don't play anywhere near the sort of football that we appointed Ange to play.
But I don't want to play. I know what you mean, forward-thinking football, but I don't want a manager to come in who plays anywhere near Ange ball to the magnitude that he actually plays in. Because again,
it'll be a drawback version, won't it? It won't be. I don't think many people play Ange ball. But what I'm saying is, we go from one extreme to the other, and we wonder why it don't work. So we get Conte in, and we go, right, he's going to be the man. We'll bring in Porro as a wing back. We'll bring in Udogie as a wing back. We set all of our team up to play 5 at the back. Perfect, great. And then we go and get Nuno in, and apparently he was told you can only play 4. Then we get Ange, who definitely only plays 4 because 2 of them are inverted wing backs, which is a very specific role. Like, the club has to be there. There has to be accountability there to say, actually, what we've given him is a squad full of young players. Everyone mentions the money that's spent, but for me, a lot of the money that's spent, not all of it, but a lot of it, is bought on 18, 19-year-olds who are not bought in to take us to the next level now. They're brought in to do it in 2 or 3 years.
Or be sold.
Pardon?
Or be sold.
Or be sold, yeah, of course.
But what we want, though, Luke, as fans, all we're craving for, as fans, and this is everybody, all we're craving for is success. We want success at our club, and we cannot see success with the method. Forget about the manager for a minute, but the process that we're going through with the higher ups, and going down this youth-centric route that we've done, it's it may and may not bear fruit. So we can't predict. It may or may not bear fruit in 3 to 4 years' time. But we don't care about 3 or 4 years' time. We want to see everything now. You see what I mean? So I can understand. So I can understand people's frustrations because people people want it now. Now, what I will say to people is that a lot hinges on that return leg next week. A hell of a lot hinges on it. You go out, you ain't got Europe next year. Get through. Yep. You're still in it. You're still in the mix. But looking at the financial statement that came out last week, to me, it's just looking at the financial statement and then looking at Levy's 68-word statement. It tells me it's rinse and repeat, more of the same, lads, again. And then, you know, and that's not going to push us on. Even if we bring another manager in, it ain't going to push us on if we're going to still go down penny lane like we've been doing.
Look, look, you're right, and this is why the protests are so important. Yeah, we need to keep protesting because we're not happy with that. But get a decent coach in with this team with some decent additions, and I'll tell you what, it'll be much better next year.
100%.
It will be, and we won't be losing so easy. We'll be more competitive and we'll have a better chance. Under Ange, we've seen it this season. We've seen it last season. It's not good enough. I'm sorry, I've had enough of Ange.
I think that with last season, I think finishing fifth was quite a good achievement, to be honest. So I feel like this year obviously has come up and there's been some issues that are a problem, of course. But last year finishing fifth, I think was a good achievement. I don't think there's many managers that would have taken us to fifth, losing Kane on the eve of the season.
Yeah, but Luke, the problem is though, you're saying that, but then he had no Europe. But then when you bring up the likes of Bournemouths and Brightons, all I hear is, yeah, but they ain't got no Europe, so they've got more time to prepare for next game. They ain't got as many injuries, but then it's good enough for Ange when he hasn't got Europe. But next year, we're going to be looking at whether he's here or not. Going back, he took us to Europe and taken us out of Europe.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no win. There's no win there with him. Like, I don't understand how he can continue. Even if he wins Europa League, I know me and you had a little thing where if he does stay, I'm not going to say Ange out because I'm not allowed to, and it will kill me. But like, I just can't see him even lasting 6 months next year if he does end up winning it. But
no, but I feel like again,
I've got a massive agenda, guys. A massive agenda. Yeah, massive agenda. Ange out all day.
You're not gonna change from that, are you?
Yeah, I've got an agenda. I want him gone. He's not good enough for this football club. The way he behaves, the way he talks to the fans, the way he behaves to the press. 16 league defeats. Yeah, no progression this season. No player has improved. You can't defend it any longer. I'm sorry, you can't. I've had enough of it. Get him gone.
Yeah, as I say, for me, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that if you don't get him gone that we won't improve. But I think we'll improve with him next year as well. I feel like we're not going to be like everyone uses this as a barometer of, oh well, if we get a manager and we won't finish 14th. I agree, and I don't think next year if we had Ange we'll finish 14th neither. I feel like this has been a big learning curve. You've got a lot of players in that squad, especially in the players that have come in Bergvall, in Gray, that will, even though it's been a terrible season for them, this would have been imperative in their growth. Bergvall has come leaps and bounds from. Everyone said, "Oh, Bergvall, he should have started. Why didn't he start the season?" Well, I watched the game when he played against Bayern Munich in the friendly, and he was dreadful, and so was Gray. And if you listen to a lot of people that have managed him in Sweden, they said that December time will be how long it will take for him to kind of get used to things and everything else. So again, it's that other thing is that if you're against Ange or you don't believe in what he does, everything he does, I've seen it on so many different streams where when we play well, it's always, oh yeah, we didn't play well because of Ange, we in spite of Ange. It's like, well, you have to have it both ways. So if he's
Luke, what do you want with this club, man? What do you want? Do you really want to keep backing this manager? What if you could decide, Luke? Would you make a decision to change the manager in the summer after what you've seen?
Right now, I think he will, because the way that we've been playing. I think that he will go in the summer. If we win the Europa League, then I don't think I understand the premise of people still not seeing the long-term vision, and that's absolutely fine. But we sit there and cry and moan, and rightly so, that the owners have not brought enough trophies. And then if the manager brings in the trophy and then we sack him, it just does not make any sense. You can't have it both ways. You can't say all we want is trophies and they bring in trophies and then you moan about it and then get rid of the manager. So
look, I think you can. I think you can. You can celebrate the cup win. Yeah, he gets us the win. Fair enough. I don't want you here anymore. Bye-bye. You can have both things. Yeah, I think so. I disagree.
I feel like you can. And I'm not saying just to caveat that if Ange does stay and if we win the Europa League and Ange does stay, I'm not saying that within 6 months he's not gone. I keep saying to everyone that if he wins the Europa League, it's a Ten Hag situation where everyone might be looking at it going, they really don't want to keep him, but actually they haven't really got a choice. And especially if it's, as I say, it's very easy in like hindsight and everything else. But the facts is that if he sacks the one manager that brings a trophy in the last 15 years, and we're having protest against him because he's not bringing enough trophies, it don't make any sense.
But we're not winning it, are we? Come on, we're not.
Well, whether we do or we don't, I'm
We're
just
not
saying.
gonna, Luke, come on, let's be real here. We're not going to win it, man. We really, if we get through next week, it'll be a miracle, man. Luke, do you know what? I want this end. I just want this to end, this Europa League, so then we could just look forward to getting Ange out, because he's hanging in there because of that Europa League. That's all.
I'm gonna describe to you what's gonna happen. Ange goes, we bring another manager in, we start all over again, and I mean we will start all over again, and it'll be the same. It'll be Penny Lane all over again.
Yeah, it will.
And we won't win NAF all again. We're not going to win nothing. You know, at the end of the day, the problem's not the manager. The problem's not the players. The problem is at Tottenham is deep rooted. It's a whole multitude of things. It's not one area. It's a whole multitude of things at Tottenham. And the thing is, the one constant is managers change, but other things always remain the same in the club. So does the ethos. So does their vision. Always remains the same. And we don't get nowhere. That's what ended up happening. So whether you like the manager or not, bring another manager in. I think we just rinse and repeat and it'll start again.
Yeah, but you don't want to stand for this, though. You don't want to stand for this, Jose. You know, you can have two things there, you know. We know the deal with Levy. We know the ceiling with Levy, right? But we could have a better manager still. You know, we can't just sit around in 16th place in the league. That's not good enough, man.
That's not.
16 is not good enough in the league, but Mourinho was hounded out. Conte was hounded out. Pochettino was hounded out. I can go through all the managers. They were all hounded out. Nobody left on their own accord. They were hounded. Before they were sacked, they were hounded by the fan base. The fan base hounded our managers out. And the same is going to happen again to Ange. We'll bring another manager in, and the cycle will begin again. Honestly, it's just going to begin again.
So what do we do then? Where do we go from here then? If we have to keep rolling the dice. I agree, because we cannot finish 6th, 15th, 16th in the league and just say, okay, let's just give it another season. Thing is, if we win the Europa League and finish 15th or 16th, and Ange stays for the first 3 or 4 months of next season, we've wasted an entire summer where we could be bringing new players in, a new manager, refreshing the squad, starting again. And I don't think we need to start again, because I think we've got a nucleus of a good squad now.
Yeah.
What we need to do is add a few more quality players in there. And I think we do all right next season. We certainly do a lot better than what we are now.
But that tells me that we don't have faith at the top again, because you see, like, everyone names all of the managers that have come into a good squad, a settled squad that play their system, and they've just carried it on. So your Brighton bosses, your Bournemouth bosses, where at the top they go, this is what we want, and we'll go and get the best manager that fits with that. Now, you say that if we go and get an Ange type manager, say like everyone says Iriola, let's say, if you go and get him after 6 months, then you're not wasting a whole project with Ange, because you're getting the players in that fits his sort of system, and then bringing in a manager that's also, and that's where the problem is that we keep going from one to another, which means that we have to do this whole rebuild, and that player now doesn't fit with this manager. Whereas if you go, this is the way that we're going to do it, and if that manager don't work, we're going to get another manager in that might not be the best manager available, but he is for that sort of system that we want to play. And that's why, for me, it just looks like we've got no clue. So we've got Marco Silva plays one way, Iriola plays one way, Glasner plays one. It's like, hang on, no, there should be a vision of what we want to do, and then everything gets geared towards that. So when we go and buy,
if you had to make that decision, you would go for someone like Iriola to have a little bit of
I think if we got Iriola in right now, I think next year all the fans would love him, because we'd finish 6th, 5th, 7th, something like that. And then next year we'll have exactly the same issues we've got now, because he gets just as many injuries without Europe. He plays a high attacking game. He's teams, if you listen, like the Bournemouth fans and things like that all over Twitter and everything, they're constantly saying that he doesn't break low blocks. He's not good enough at doing that. So I think we'll be in exactly the same cycle with Iriola.
But I don't think we'll be 16th, though. I don't think we'll be.
No.
If we're in the top 8, to me, that's acceptable, and that's where you got to build from there, from the top 8. But if you sit in 16th and you're letting in stupid goals and you got 2 at the back, it's just not Tottenham, is it?
And also those young players, they would have had a couple more seasons, you know, and they would have improved and got better.
Yeah, and we've got Solanke as well, the man that he got 19 goals. The more I watch Solanke, the more I think it was Iriola's system that got the striker the goals. Because look at their striker they've got now. I think it's the system, and you've got to go and get him just for Solanke alone.
I think that with the system that he plays, as I say, I feel like if we've got no Europe next year, and I think you're bang on what you just said in terms of what's happening with this Europa League makes there is going to be so much uncertainty at Tottenham at this moment in time on the basis that if we win that Europa League and we're playing Champions League football, then the targets have to change who we go for in the summer. They have to change because this squad, I don't care who's in charge. I don't care if you go and get Guardiola in charge. If this squad goes into the Champions League, we're going to struggle. So therefore, the targets have to change. And then if we've got no Europe, let's use Romero as an example. I think we all said that we agree he's probably off. Now, if he goes in the summer and you've got Champions League, you have to bring in someone of that quality back. You have to get someone in of that quality or around that quality. Whereas if we've got no Europe next year, then maybe you could say Van der Ven, I don't know, Davies, Danzo, Dragusin, Vukovic. That's enough. We don't need one. So you go from losing a star player to signing one if we're in the Champions League to potentially not signing one at all. And I think that is a massive thing at the moment where until this Europa League's over, everything's going to be up in the air. And that's probably why the manager hasn't gone. Because so much rests on it.
Can I just, Daniel in the chat, I'm not backing anybody, Daniel. All I'm saying is that we get rid of managers, and for me, it's not the managers at Tottenham, because we'll keep getting rid of managers all the time, regardless whether I'm looking at now Ange, whether I go back to Martin Jol, doesn't matter who I'm looking at. Every manager that's been hounded out of the club that's left, we've then brought another manager in. We've had a romantic period with that manager, whether it be 10 games, 6 months, a season. We've had a romanticism with the manager, and then it goes pear-shaped again. And we do, as a fan base, we do the same thing over again. Yes, 20 games on losses are not acceptable. I'm not disagreeing with anything that people are saying. I'm just saying that, you know, at the end of the day, be careful, because we just bring someone else in, and it will happen again. We'll fall in love with them. They'll excite us for 6 months to a season. And because there's more problems at Tottenham than just a manager, they'll then fall on their knees.
But look at Poch, well. Jose. What about Poch? He was there 5 years, right? Yeah. We could get another manager to do as well as him. Yeah, so it can happen.
But let's just use Poch as a great example.
Poch wasn't back for 2 years.
Yeah, I get that, but it was a better period. You're talking about 1 year, 18 months, 6 months. Poch, 5 years. It was good for the majority of it.
We played well for about 2.5 seasons of that, because the first season he had to get rid of the dross.
Work in progress, yeah.
Yeah, he had to get rid of the dross, didn't he, the first season? And then the last season, in the season that he got dismissed, and the season before it, which is when we won the Champions League. When we reached the Champions League final. That season in the league, we fell off a cliff.
We still finished fourth.
Fell off a cliff compared to we were.
No, we still finished fourth, Jose. We still qualified for Champions League, even with a poor season under Poch.
Yeah, but we were also forgetting the fact that how strong the leagues were then. So over that 2 year period where we won, there was a 2 year period where we won more games.
Yeah, he wasn't back. I agree. The least. He wasn't back.
The winners of them leagues were Chelsea and Leicester. You've now got your Liverpools, your City. So the problem with our club is that all we're doing is gambling all of the time. And even with Poch, we didn't want Poch. Poch was a second and third choice manager that season. And then we go and we sign Dele Alli, who all of a sudden scores 18 goals in his second season. Like, everything we're doing is a gamble. That's all it is.
Isn't that the same with every other Premier League team? Apart from a couple who, you look at Pep, obviously at City. Every other Premier League side, the managers don't last usually more than 18 months, 2 years.
No,
we're no different.
I think 18 months is the standard, isn't it? I think 18 months anyone that lasts longer than that has done an exceptional job.
If you look at that, and then you look at how close he was to getting Slot, imagine where we would be now when we could have got Slot 18 months ago. Where would we be now? Because that was the man we wanted, didn't it?
But again, you're talking about a manager that's gone into a stable team. And if anything, Liverpool were kind of at their worst last year. They had loads of injuries. And then obviously the way Klopp plays is very aggressive. It's very on the
but
front
still,
foot.
yeah, I agree with you saying.
And I think and I understand why we do it, but we keep naming managers that are at clubs that are stable and they follow the ethos. They get the players in that they need. We're not like that.
Yeah, but we spent 400 million though, Luke. We spent 400 million.
Luke, I've got a question for you, because you're questioning everything and you're not sure. What would you do under Levy? You know the circumstances with Levy. What would you do? Because you're doubting everything, and I get it. What would you do?
I'm not doubting everything. I'm just saying that we're very easy to say, oh well, I'll tell you what, we should have done that as fans. I mean, Pedro Neto, there was uproar that we didn't get Pedro Neto this year. Well, we didn't even go out for him. Why didn't we go and spend the money on him? He's got 13 Premier League goals in his whole career or something stupid like that. Johnson's got half of what he's got this season alone.
He's better than Johnson.
And I'm not arguing that he is or he isn't, but what I'm saying is we always we look at all of these players that we're linked with and like that Desire Day or whatever his name is. Yeah. We now look at him and see what he done and goes, we should have gone in and got him. He went to PSG.
But Luke, what do you want to happen? What do you want to happen, Luke?
I think that at the end of the season, there needs to be a full review of everything. I think we need to work out a method of what we're going to go away and do. Are we looking to play a 5 at the back system? Are we looking to play an attacking system? And then we pick the best manager for that job, not the best manager that's out there, the best manager for that job. And we go, right, that's how we're going to play. And then when we bring in a manager and in a year's time or 18 months' time, we're sacking them because of whatever, or they're going on to bigger and better, whatever it may be, then we haven't just wasted 18 months, which is what we currently do. We have. If you've got to restart that whole thing again, when Ange first came in, he came with Munn, he came with Lange. Then he literally said, what was it? The next football is going to be forward-thinking football. We've got our Tottenham back, blah, blah, blah. 18 months later, now we want a new director of football. We need a new manager, and we've started again. Yeah, but they have to be of a level of quality. Do you know? So you don't think Ange is a level of quality then? No, I'm saying behind him. I'm saying that the recruitment. So Lange was at Villa, and they didn't care that he went. He was terrible. They had no care that he went. So what I'm saying is, like, are we going to go like Paratici, for instance, is a director of football, and the way that it works in Italy is a director of football comes in, he appoints his man, and the way that he wants these teams to be set up, and then when that manager goes, or when the players that he's bought are already into a system that fits with. So if the whole change is to go, right, we're going to go defensive now, then that's what it is. But as long as there's a clear vision, because this is why we keep failing, is because we go from, as I say, the Porro and the Odogi is the perfect example. We've now got a squad that's perfectly set up to play 5 at the back, but we've appointed the manager that plays 4 at the back. Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense. And I think we'll carry on doing the same thing. And then when we're saying about ripping it all up and starting it all again, we have to keep doing that because we keep going from this idea to that idea to this idea. So that needs to start from the very start of the season, end of the season. We need to look at it and say, what do we want to do? And then from there, you then appoint the best person for that job. And then you continue that cycle, because otherwise we're just going to keep doing this. And we're not a club that can keep doing it. We're not a Chelsea who can. I
agree, Luke. I agree what you're saying, man. And I think there is a good set of players there. I just think we're not seeing the best of them. Yeah, I do. I just think with some clever recruitment, you get a DM in, you get cover at left back, get another striker in forward, clever recruitment. And I think this team can do a hell of a lot better next season with a decent coach. So, like you say, play, 5 at the back with the wing backs. Glasner's there. He can do it.
So at the moment, you've got Glasner, Silva. To be honest, I've heard all the names of the Premiership managers, and I don't rate none of them at all. I don't think none of them will come and do a job. To me, the best manager for Tottenham. So for me, the best managers that have come and done things in the Premiership didn't have Premiership experience.
Right.
Yeah. So when Pep came to the league, Klopp came to the league, or even Herzl at Brighton, the Bournemouth manager, all these managers that we're naming, they didn't have Premiership experience. They've all come from other leagues. The same as Ange has done. They've all come from other leagues. So to me, if Ange gets replaced, I wouldn't want him to be replaced by another manager that's in the Premiership, because I don't think they'll do much better. I think what you need to do is you need to look outside the Premiership and get a manager that's going to come in with a director.
But that don't
of
make
football.
sense, Jose. How does that make sense? Because the managers have come from another league and then they're into the Premier League. They all got to come from somewhere.
Correct, but the managers that are being named with Tottenham at the moment are all Premiership managers at the moment, and I don't rate none of the ones that are being named. It's my
They're all
personal
rubbish,
opinion.
though. That's the thing.
Why?
They're all rubbish.
Because I think there's other managers. If he's going to go, I think there's other managers out there that are not in the Premiership that would suit us better with a director of football.
Yeah.
With a new director of football and a manager coming in would suit us better than picking any of these managers that are currently in the Premiership.
So, who is that then, in your eyes?
Xavi.
He wants Xavi.
Xavi and Paratici, mate. Xavi and Paratici. Xavi plays with youngsters. He plays football the way football should be played. I think he played football the way that Tottenham want football to be played as well. But like Luke said, you can't do that with Mung, Langer in tow. It's just at the moment, Paratici is without a job, and his ban finishes on the 25th of June. He can't go to Milan, so he's up for grabs again. Now, the decision that Mr. Levy needs to make is that if he was to offer Paratici the job, he would have to get rid of. First of all, he'd have to get rid of Langer, and Poch would have to go as well because Paratici would bring his own manager in. But it's whether so when Paratici was before his ban, Paratici was the only director that sat on the board, and he was the only director that had football knowledge that sat on the board. All our directors on the board now, none of them have any football knowledge because Scott Money.
No, they're useless. I agree with you. They're useless.
So therefore, in order to take us forward, you'd want a director of football to come in to sit on the board again, who's got football as his front and foremost, and not spreadsheets, and to bring that they will always bring their own manager in. Always, it's like anywhere you go, that's always going to happen.
And Paratici didn't want Ange.
And
when he was advising, he didn't want Ange.
And Paratici will bring his own man in, and Paratici's got his own thoughts on how, and the other thing is when we're talking about, and I agree because I've said it many a time, I think we've got to do a whole deep dive at the end of the season. But the thing is, you can't do a deep dive with the people that you've got at the club because they're going to be biased one way or another. So the deep dive, you're going to have someone to come in and to deep dive your club to see what went wrong, what was right, and whatever. You need someone, fresh set of eyes, who's not affiliated. So when we brought Paratici in before he got banned, Paratici took a deep dive, saw what was going on, what was wrong, and he's the one that inserted the academy and stuff like that. He'd done all that because fresh eyes, and he wasn't clogged by anyone else at the club. Now, Paratici, again, although he hasn't been a full-time employee and has been a contractor, if Paratici came back to the club, he could do that deep dive.
He also had more say, didn't he? I think he's had more say than anyone previous in that sort of role. I mean, Arneson's, you can go back.
Baldini.
Yeah, like he's had more say. I think he broke the wage structure because one of the big problems for us was losing kids, Madwekis, that sort of stuff was because of the wage cap that we had, and he completely banished that, broke that. So he's done a lot of stuff in the background, and everyone, like, obviously, I don't think Ange is the result of everything. I don't think we should get rid of him purely on that. But I would, if someone said, would you take Paratici? I think if Paratici comes in, I don't think he's made a lot of mistakes as well, but I feel like he will come in with a clear vision and a clear understanding. He knows football, and then at least that way you've got an understanding of where we're going. Because, as I say, I keep going back to all of the names that we've currently got. None of them are really like Ange other than Iriola. So again, we're going from one idea to another. And at least with, as I say, with Paratici, he'll come in with an idea, and then he'll get the best person that suits that idea, not the best person that's out there, for instance.
Yeah,
I can live with Paratici coming back. Lange for me is not good enough. I can get behind that.
I don't think anyone.
If Paratici comes back, then for me, Munn's job also becomes up for grabs as well. Because Paratici sat in the Munn position and had Gabardini in the Langer position. Do you see what I mean? So therefore, he became the director on the board, Paratici, and he brought Gabardini as his doff, and brought Conte as the manager. Yeah. So if Paratici was to come back, you'd have to strip them 3 posts. So he sat there. He brings a doff. Yeah, he brings a doff and he brings a manager. Yeah, and
I agree. I think,
and he could do well by bringing Gabardini back to the club as well.
100%. Yeah.
I just think far too many chefs in the Tottenham hierarchy at the moment. I think Lange needs to go, Munn needs to go, and Ange needs to go. Get Paratici back, get him to bring his own manager in, and we go from there.
And off.
Far too many people making decisions.
It's got
Yeah.
messy.
Yeah, I completely understand. And Daniel, I'm not slagging off Poch at all. I love Poch. Virtually every single player that Poch had was one of my favourite ones. Like I loved everything about Poch. I'm just saying that there is.
He didn't get us over the line, Luke, isn't it? That's what you mean. He didn't get us
over the line, and he does seem to be a barometer that we use, and quite rightly so. I'm just saying that it's very easy to say, well, Poch done that and Poch did this. From the stories that I heard about Poch as well, is that Poch was very particular about signings that he wanted, and he turned down several players that he didn't think were going to improve the squad, and therefore we went on and not signed players. So, and I remember seeing, I think Poch for the last year, our away record under him was like 1 win in 10 months.
Yeah, they was finished.
So I'm not.
You blame Poch. He said about the furniture. He needed new players. The squad needed refreshing, and Levy he didn't do what he needed to do. So I think Poch did amazing managing Spurs. And I think he brought us so close, as I remember, to glory. And, I miss that.
Remember, though, Dan, you got to remember, Dan, that we did have Prime Son and Prime Kane.
Yeah, but he made
Son was, 22, didn't he? Well, Son was 22 when we signed him, and Kane was, 22, 23 as well.
But he coached them, his coaches. He brought them players up.
Yeah, none of them players we bought under Poch, none of them was world record transfers. They was all teams from like Southamptons and stuff like that. So he built that squad up. He's a squad builder, and that's what we need.
The only player that we really signed that we knew was going to be of a very good level, I think, was Eriksen. That was the one. We didn't spend massive on him, but everyone wanted Eriksen when we got him. Yeah. But other than that, I think Alderweireld was similar. I think he was at Atletico Madrid, but he weren't signing like world beaters or anything like that. No. But it's whether or not I don't mind Poch at all. I'm not saying I don't really like going back. But I've said this on previous pods as well. I still feel like he wants to hold out for one more year with Ange, and then 2026 gets Poch after the World Cup's done.
Yeah, I can't do another year of Ange. I can't do it. I can't do it.
All I'm going to say is, thankfully, you're not Levy, so you might have a choice.
Yeah, it'll be taken out of our hands. You know what? At the end of the day, it's not down to us, is it?
No, and I agree with David. I don't think there are that. I don't think there are that many good players in this squad. I think there are quite a few that are nowhere near it. And whether we've got whether we get a new manager or not, I still think there's so many players in this squad that are nowhere near it. And I'm not saying they should be 14th, but I don't think Basuma is good enough. He wasn't good enough under Conte. He was not been good enough under Ange. And they play completely different football. And when we signed him, I thought he was going to be an absolute beast for us. But you can't. I think that's another thing we've been doing is we keep giving players, like we got absolutely rinsed for carrying on having Dyer, carrying on having Davies, and then Basuma's been here for 4 years now, something like that. He's never done it. He's never really done it, and yet players, I see fans saying, "Oh, if we get another manager in, well, then that's 5 years of Basuma. At what point do we then say, "Oh,
Luke, if you go back and watch that game when we was unbeaten in them first 10 games, and you watch Basuma away at the Emirates, he controlled that midfield. He was unbelievable. He used to get the ball from the keeper, and he literally used to be turned any person that came towards him. He was so good in them first 10 games. He just went. I don't know what happened to him.
It was that ever since that Luton sending off when he got sent off for the second when he died, he's just never looked the same sort of player. He's
But guys, so say we go with a back five next season, set up for it, right? Yeah. Then you just need to sign a really good midfielder, another forward and a really top winger. 3 players. And then we're so different. We're so much better. I think we've got to be careful that we do have good players. We do. We're just badly coached. We're badly set up. Nothing goes into the defensive side of the game under Ange. That we could get so much more out of this team.
I think we need exactly them players with Ange's system. That's what I'm saying.
Ange doesn't do it. Ange doesn't use a DM. He doesn't use a DM, does he?
He doesn't. I know everyone says that, and he's come out and said that previously. But Bentancur was definitely sitting today. When Archie Gray played the position a couple of weeks ago, I think it was against Fulham, he was definitely sitting more. So
McGregor at Celtic always sat.
So
It still sits now, but he says it's 3/8. He always says 3/8. But McGregor always sat at Chelsea and still at Celtic and still sits now, still playing for Celtic now. He still sits as a 6.
And if you look at the why Conte didn't like Basuma, he said because tactically he's dreadful, and he's literally came out.
I don't rate Basuma, Luke. I agree with you. I don't rate him.
Bentancur isn't someone who sits. He's never really been tactically that disciplined. He's always been the kind of I wouldn't say an attacking option, but he's always been one of two, and he's been the less defensive. So I feel like if we get someone who can actually read the game, and again, whether Angie's there or not, I still feel like we need that. And whether Angie's there or not, I still feel like we need a right winger. So where there's gaping holes, whether it's Angie's system or not, I still feel like we need the same positions. So that's why I'm just not going, if we get rid of him, what I read it as is that people are going, if we get rid of him, wow, we're going to become a power. We're still going to be looking for luck. We're still going to be looking at winning cup competitions because this squad's nowhere near the top teams for me anyway.
That's what we are with Tottenham. We've always been a cup team. I'm 50 years old. I've never seen us win a league. So, let's get back to what we were and start winning cups again.
I just want to be entertained. I want a player like you see. I know we'd never get him there. But for example, that Doué or that Kashkavili, whatever his name is, from PSG, gets you off your seat and he's like an Aaron Lennon, like, oh my God, he's going to do something. But in a minute, I just want to get back to that. Get me back to 7th place and enjoying Tottenham every week, like under Harry Redknapp. And I'll be happy starting from there because we're nowhere near that.
We've always, even when we were finishing 10th, 12th, 14th, we've always had, like, if you was to go and pick a Premier League 11 over the whole of the Premier League, and you was to pick Spurs players, you could still pick an unbelievable team that have got Mavericks in it that are entertaining.
That's what we've always built on.
I don't think we've really got that at all in this squad.
No,
I don't think. Is there many players where like you sit and you think I can't wait to watch him today, even on their absolute top form? I don't think.
I just don't think there's many players like that in the Premier League anymore.
No,
I
think they're
you watch the Premier League in the 90s, and even teams like Sheffield Wednesday would have like Carbone and players like that. Middlesbrough would have Juninho. You look at the teams now in the Premier League, and the best players, the most exciting players, are players that score goals.
Look at the games in the Champions League last couple of nights. Fantastic, man! That Australia for PSG.
I'll text Ryan saying, "Can you imagine any of our wingers doing what Kvaratskhelia just done? Falling over their
what
feet.
A player!"
Yeah. But they are different levels. They are different levels to what we can get, and the wage budget is also a part of that.
You can get players. We could have got Desiree Doué back in the summer. You can get players, but you've got to pay the salaries.
That's it.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
The salaries. It's not the transfer fee. It's the bloody salaries, and we don't pay the salaries. And that's why I'm saying to people, the stuff is deeper rooted. Get rid of Ange. Same thing will happen again, because that statement last week on the finances and what he said in the statement, in his 68-word statement, tells me exactly what I need to know about next season. Mm-hmm. Like Luke said earlier, if we were to win the Europa League, you qualify for the Champions League. That means you need to step up your squad because you have to fight for the Champions League as well, or not fight to win it, but to fight to be respectable.
Compete,
to fight to be respectable. You need to improve your squad. Now, if we don't win the Europa League, we're not qualifying for Europe next season. That means the budget, although the money will be there, Tottenham, Levy doesn't think, you know what, we're dire. We've been really awful this year or the last few seasons. What we need to do is we need to invest to make sure we can compete next season and moving forward. The board doesn't think like that. Never has done and never will do. And that's why, I mean, Adrian, you said earlier about, he said in the comments something about Scott Munn being some different title, right? Scott Munn is a CFO, Chief Football Officer, right? Yeah. Adrian, when Paratici was here, Paratici had similar title to Scott Munn, and Paratici sat on the board, which is what Scott Munn does. And the director of football was Gabardini, which is what Langer is. So I know exactly what I'm saying there, Adrian. Bring in Paratici, but if it's not Paratici, it's got to be a footballing person that comes to Tottenham and sits on the board as a director, and it has to be a footballing person. It cannot be another spreadsheet merchant. because we get fucking nowhere with spreadsheet merchants, because all they're after is a pound note. They don't care about our club. They don't care about us improving. They don't want us to win anything. All they want is the dollar coming into their shiny stadium week in, week out.
Yep, and I don't think that changes, unfortunately. I feel Paratici definitely had more influence than anyone seems to have had over him.
If it was me, I wouldn't actually get Paratici. You know, I already spoke to you about this, Luke, but I'd get Luis Campos, who's about to leave PSG. Their contract talks are not going well. He wants to leave. He built up Monaco when they got to the semi-final when they had Mbappe. He knew about Bernardo Silva when he was a kid, and
He's
all
rated.
stuff like this. And
Campos is rated.
yeah, and I'd love us to get him with a new fresh manager like Iriola, and
I feel like
he finds bargains.
I feel like he's been linked quite a bit though, Luis Campos. I don't know whether that was
under Poch. When we was Poch, apparently they've got a relationship, and I mean, what he's done with PSG as well, and he's about to leave. It's just like, I don't need to tell you, just watch him.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone knew that they were having too many superstars, and when they left, they might actually do a little bit better. But yeah, it's a sign.
Yeah, PSG tried to do a Real Madrid, tried to do a Galacticos.
Yeah,
it didn't come off. Real Madrid are the only ones who can do Galacticos. PSG didn't come off, so they've gone down a different route. And PSG have got some of the best young talent in world football, but they pay for it, don't they? They bring players into PSG, young talent. They pay the money, they pay the wages, and now you can see the fruits of their labour. They have got an absolute tremendous squad. So,
but ain't that what we're doing? Ain't we going down that route? We've bought Bergvall, we took him off Barcelona, we spent 40 million on an 18-year-old. Like, if we're going down that route, give him the free rein to go and get his manager and just build on what you want to see happen. But
that was another thing I meant to say, is that the next manager has to believe in youth. They have to have a track record of bringing youth.
There's no point otherwise.
Yeah, otherwise it's just there is literally no point. Because again, as we said, most managers only last 18 months. So let's say they last 2 years. They don't really care about what happens in 3 years' time. That's not really impacting them. So they have to have something in their blood where they go, actually, let's bring in these young players. Let's try and develop them and everything else. And I don't think anyone defended Levy. Did they? Has anyone stuck up for Levy here?
No,
you did.
Never.
You done.
What did I do?
No, I'm joking. Because you want to, just why.
Who can sorry, I think he means, can we get someone who will stick up for themselves?
Stick to
Levy. No, stick it to Levy. Yeah. And I think I definitely think Paratici would do that.
Paratici did it. He's the only person that's rattled Levy up until
he
now.
wanted. I think he's had like long-term goals, Levy, and I definitely feel like Paratici was one he wanted, and Conte was one he wanted.
Yeah.
Because he seemed to chase Conte for an age, even when Conte said no. One thing we haven't discussed yet, which is surprising, I thought it was going to be one of the first topics, is Spence being dropped. And I think there's been a lot of...
To me, right, I did a pump-up show earlier, and to me, it wouldn't be a surprise if Spence was dropped today, because if you look at it, Spence is the one that's played the most minutes recently, and he's played right back and the doggy's played left, or he's played at left back and Porro's played right. So the person who's had the most minutes out of all of them, and probably played the best out of the three of them, is Spence, but he's also had the most minutes. So therefore, to me, it wasn't a surprise. I said that probably, if they're gonna rotate the players, that Spence would be the rotational one today.
I just feel like he should have rotated against Southampton if that was the case.
Yeah, someone said something really interesting in another chat earlier that said that they think Spence might have been dropped because they're saving him for the away leg because he's better defensively, maybe. But that's the only thing I can think. Otherwise,
I think the doggy, there were some flashes from him tonight, Nige, don't you think?
I thought he did okay.
There's a couple of flashes in the second half.
I think in the first half he struggled a little bit. But
early doors in the first half
definitely improved. But I think you're right. I think Spencer's been our best player. He's been our best wing back for a long time now, and I'm hoping that he's been rested for some sort of reason, if it be a knock or whatever. But if it was purely just down to playing too many games or too many minutes, then it should have been Southampton.
It's quite interesting what you said earlier, Luke, and I totally agree with you because that was my thoughts are exactly the same. Is that when we had Conte, right? We played a 3-4-3, 3-5-2, however you want to call it, right? And you now look at the players that we've got in Udogie, Porro, and Spence. They are, and the teams that they played for before they came to us, played 3-5-2s and 3-4-3s. And yet, so we've got wing backs as fullbacks.
Yeah.
So basically, Ange has got a team of, or a lot of the players that are left over from the Conte squad.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the worst players have already been, we've got rid of, but some of the better players deemed that have been kept. But they play wing backs in a fullback position. So
honestly, I would, if you look at the squad that we've currently got, obviously it's not including who goes and who comes in, but 5 at the back is the system that suits virtually every player in this squad. I mean, even towards you could say you'd lose your wingers, maybe they could come inside as 10s. Kulu could play a variety of positions there. So,
losing your wingers ain't a bad thing though, because we've got different attributes to all the wingers that we've got.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, 100%.
But wingers or wide forwards, right? That's up for debate for me. The wingers are wide forwards. So you've got Odebert, Tell, Johnson, Sonny, Mikey Moore, Timo Werner, and Brennan Johnson, right? So they are the wide players, if you want, or wingers, whatever you want to call them. It wouldn't be a bad thing going to a 3-5-2 because you could have a forward and another player playing off them, and would probably suit us better than the wide forwards we got. Because the wide forwards we got, they might have different skills and attributes, but do any of them really do it for you? Because they don't do it for me.
Say, if you put all those wingers together, you might actually make one decent player because they're pretty average, aren't they? Really.
So, what order do we do this in, guys? Sorry, Nige.
It's all right, man.
So, what order do we do this in then in the summer? We
It has to
change
be the
the
top.
director of football,
Yeah.
then we decide on the manager, then we take it from there, right?
We're basically when you went down the Paratici route, you basically went down the Italian model, and that's how it works. The owners, in theory, don't have anything to do with anything on the football side. They get someone in, i.e. a Paratici. He then goes in and because don't forget Paratici,
and he replaces Munn.
Yeah. So basically, Munn, Lang,
and Ange.
and Ange, they all go. Your director of football comes in, and then
probably Gabardini if he keeps Gabardini.
Sorry, that's not your director of football. Your Paratici comes in, and then Paratici will decide where he wants to go. So let's just say he wants to play 5 at the back. He wants to play attacking football. Then he appoints a manager that fits with that. He is also leading up part of the recruitment team. So then we make sure we're buying players that suit that system. And then when said manager gets sacked or goes or does whatever, we then bring in another manager that plays 5 at the back, attacking system, so that the players that we currently have bought are not going to just need to all be left out and thrown and sold to then bring in a whole leap of other players to play a different system, a different philosophy, wherever that may be. And that's what I think we need to do. We need to determine that. And then if Ange doesn't fall into that category in terms of we want to play, say, a 5 at the back, then he goes. But there has to be a clear idea of.
But what you need.
Go
on, mate. Go on.
You know, I actually think that I want Areola as my number one. But remember we tried to bid for Gahey, and then you see the thing come out a couple of days ago about Glasner being in talks with Tottenham, whether it's true or not. I actually think we're going to go for Glasner, because the back 5, as you said, that fits us as well. I can see that. I can really see us getting him there, and then bringing in Eze as well.
3 weeks ago, it was the leading contenders were Frank, Silva, Iraola. So that was the leading contenders 3 weeks ago. All of a sudden, if you believe social media, Glasner's now the leading contender. And to me, I just think that there's a lot that's put out there on X, and it throws people. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, the only people that really know is the twat upstairs. It's the only person that knows what's going on. Yeah. So, I was going to say something, but I didn't want to be offensive, so I'm just going to call him a twat upstairs.
I'm not monetized. Say whatever you like. Don't make a difference.
No, it's not
probably true anyway.
It's about his appearance. I was going to say something, but then it might offend people, so I didn't want to say nothing.
So I know Dan's going to have to shoot in a minute. I really appreciate you coming on, mate. I know you haven't been feeling 100%, so I appreciate you coming on. Is there any lasting Anjout talk you want to say?
No, I've calmed down a bit now, guys. I've calmed down a bit. I'm just very passionate about my club, and yeah, I just after that disappointment, man, I had a lot to say. But big up to everybody on the panel. Big up to everyone in the chat. Yeah, been loving. So, Luke, sorry, what's your mate called on the right? Because I haven't seen his name all night on the
Ryan.
Ryan. Big up, Ryan, mate. Lovely to meet you.
Andrew,
I call him a few other names, but we'll stick with Ryan for the stream.
and Jose, big up to you, buddy.
And you, Dan. Take care of yourself. I hope you feel better, Dan.
Yeah, I'm on the mend now. And Luke, thanks so much for having me on. Big up the chat and take care of yourselves.
Dan's links are in the description, so please drop him a follow, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Daniel said, simple, I asked this earlier, does Ange rotate massively on Sunday against Wolves? Thursday is the most important.
100%, yes, 100%.
From what I've seen, I don't think he's going to rotate hugely. I feel like he seems to want to get people to have some sort of rhythm, but I don't think Van der Ven plays very often in the Premier League for the rest of the season.
Do you not think so? I thought Van der Ven looked all right tonight, and I thought that he just needs minutes.
I agree, but I think that because when we had when there was uproar recently, I think it was the Fulham game where we had a 21-day game, a 21-day
19 games, 19 days between matches.
And there was absolute uproar, and all of the comments kept saying, "We've got 19-day break, we've got 19-day break," but they completely forgot that we played 2 games in 6 days before that. And it's not necessarily what you've got next; it's what's already been done. And I just feel like, especially with today being Thursday and there's a game on Sunday, I don't see how Van der Ven can play.
But some of the players for me, Luke, are not the zones, as they call them. They're not. Yeah. I think Van der Ven, Romero, Doggy. I think all these players that have come back from injury are still all in the green zone. None of them are nowhere near the red zone because it takes you about 6 games to build your fitness up for the Premier.
100%.
And it's either you do a pre-season or you play 6 games consecutively to get up to speed, right? Yeah. So for me, I would say that Van der Ven, Romero, I'd be playing Van der Ven, Romero. I'd be playing a Doggy. I'd be playing Solanke. The players that have come back from injury, I would be playing them. Do you know what I mean? And if you're going to rotate players, I'd rotate the players outside of them. I mean, you could rotate. I mean, I don't know what's happened to Odebert, but if Odebert's out, then you're only going to rotate. You can only rotate Sonny. You could rotate Sonny and Johnson with Tell and Mikey Moore if they bring Mikey Moore back into the fold. But if they don't, then you could rest Sonny and put Tell there. In midfield, you've obviously got Sarr that can come in. You've got Basuma come in. Gray might as well go and play for the under-21s because he's never given a chance at anything.
So strange.
And then for me, the fullbacks, the rotation would be between Porro and Spence for me. Because I would play a Doggy because you got to get these people fit because it's not just about Europe. We still got games to play in the Premiership. Okay, we're not playing for much in the Premiership. We're just probably playing for 3.1 million for every place that we can gain. But still for the players, I wouldn't rotate a huge amount personally. That's my personal opinion.
I don't think we can rotate a huge amount because I don't think we've got the players to at this moment in time. But I feel like Van der Ven, I agree. I think he needs to play, but I don't think he'll start. I think that's one of the problems this year is that, especially with all the injuries, you can almost like amount of times I've said in our group, whatever, he'll come off at 60 minutes because he'll only get 60 minutes today because he's either just coming back or he's not quite fit or whatever. And I feel like that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of games, like for instance the Premier League games, especially the Sundays after the Thursdays. If we carry on going through the competition, that you already know who's basically going to come on and come off. Like as I say, if Van der Ven don't start, you can guarantee he'll play the last 30 minutes just to keep the legs going and moving and all of that.
But today was the first game since he's returned from injury. Today was the first game he's completed 90 minutes because in the other games that he's played, he's been brought off at 45 or 60. Yeah. So they're ramping him up. And that's what I'm saying. For someone like Van der Ven, I'd play him because You've got to get him to that spec. Romero, when he first came back, first couple of games, he was substituted. Romero, the last couple of games, has completed 90 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's a difficult one. You know, at the end of the day, the position that we're in, 14th in the league, 13th or 14th we are in the league, is not a good look at all. And the only way you can take that look away is by winning games in the Premiership and trying to climb up that table. Yeah, we know we're not going to get into the top 8 or anything like that, but it's not a good look if you carry on going out and losing games. And I just think that if you keep rotating the team non-stop all the time, we'll end up losing more than what we win.
I agree. I
Yeah,
think I would play Van der Ven, but I can see Davis coming in for him. I can see Sarr coming in, and I can see Richarlison possibly starting. I do think there'll be 4 or 5 changes Sunday.
Adrian, did Adrian just put a list up of managers there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Southgate,
Manager
Silva,
rumors:
Frank.
Terzic, Iraola, Inzaghi, Xavi, Lopetegui.
Lopetegui is
Glasner,
definitely not
Motta.
linked.
Okay, nah.
Lopetegui is there.
So from that list, I can tell you now, if it's Paratici was coming back to the club, you've got Inzaghi, Xavi, and Motta would be 3 that he'd probably look at. The others, the others, he ain't touching with the barge pole.
Terzic is a real weird one because when you actually look at the facts of it,
Terzic.
It looks really good. But when you actually listen to what Dortmund fans were saying, even though they got to a Champions League final, they hate him.
He's defensive, isn't he? Really defensive.
So it's a real strange one. But yeah, so I'd say. So we think that there will be a few changes, but not huge amounts. Then
they'll definitely play Tell because you think we've paid 10 million for a loan, so we ain't going to buy him. They're going to want to play him and give him game time. Do you know what I mean? Even just to test him out, see if he's worth that money. But he'd 100% start against Wolves.
Again, even that is just such a weird signing because he's not a forward, he's not a striker, sorry, and he's not going to replace Son because Son's your captain. So it's just such a weird.
Yeah, and we've got Mikey Moore right behind Son, ready to go in a year or two. So what's the point? It's just bizarre.
I think he should definitely be one that starts appearing again. I do think that illness or whatever he had.
Yeah, it's weird.
There's a bit more to it. There must be a bit more to it because for him to not even get on the bench and things like that, I think he has done over the last couple of games, but I just feel that was quite strange. About the manager in the summer. So. Funnily enough, one of the things I wanted to talk about was Glasner's rumours because they seem to be picking up. Do you think that that's actually something that's looked at, or do you think that that's just paper talk?
I think there's something. I think there's something to it. I do think there's something to it.
It's quite.
So is there something with Iraola then? Is there something with Frank? Is there something with Silva? Because all these people have been linked with us as strongly, if not stronger, in the last month.
I feel like the Glasner one come out the blue a little bit. I feel like the other 3 there was so many whispers in the community about it, and then it all come at the same time. But then the Glasner one come afterwards. Yeah. So I almost feel like maybe it's his agent because I know that there was going under a new contract. Maybe it's his agent trying to.
Leipzig as well.
I don't know if you see that there's 3 players whose agents all released a statement today talking about Real Madrid. So there's Van der Ven, Gravenberch, and someone else, but I think they've all got the same agent. And basically, he came out and said that they're all interested in going Real Madrid, and Real Madrid's the club they want to go to. And it was like, where's that come from? So, that was another thing. So I've read a couple of different things about we need a forward. So apparently Newcastle's top target now is going to be Cunha from Wolves. Who seems to be available, and quite a lot of Spurs fans have said that they would go for him. But then
I'd go for Cunha. I would.
But then the other one that come out recently is £30 million buyout clause on Liam Delap.
Yeah, and I'd go for Delap as well.
I mean, if you was to play a 5 at the back with 2 strikers, having like them sort of options, even both of them added with sort of your Solankis and things, I think you've got some real good talent there. You just need to you got Kulu, Madison in behind. I definitely feel like they could be, but yeah, I don't think definitely wouldn't get 2 of them. Apparently, Cunha, as I said, is top target for Newcastle. The rumor is, but I definitely feel like both of them would improve this squad, 100%.
That's a funny one for me. I've not seen enough of him. You know, he looks decent. He looks strong and powerful, but I've not seen enough to think that I want him.
He almost looks like he's all right at everything, but he just keeps scoring goals.
Yeah,
And then
he needs
there's
to
a,
be
there's a knack to that.
Who's
Yeah.
that? Cunha?
The lap.
No,
Oh, the lap.
Lap.
Okay. The lap's got everything, mate. God. The lap has got everything.
For me, it's one of them where he's rounded. He's well rounded. He can do quite a lot of stuff. It's just whether he's got that level to go up one more. Do you know what I mean? Because
needs to be in the right environment.
And that's what I'm saying. If you played like a two forward players that are really close together in like a 5 at the back system, say, I feel like you've got players quite close to him. Like in our team this year, Solanke's got so much space where no one's anywhere near him. I think he would potentially struggle. But if you get players close to him, to get 12 goals for Ipswich, I think it's 12 in the league he's got.
Yeah,
I definitely feel like that's a good thing. Right, so we've got Wolves moving on now. We've got Wolves on the weekend. What are we thinking? So we don't think we're going to get that many changes there. But do we think that we'll go and get a win against Wolves?
Yes. Yeah.
We should do, shouldn't we?
I think we'll beat Wolves.
So
We're away.
basically, they've been on a pretty decent run in terms of their last 5. They've won 3, but the 3 that they've won is against Ipswich, who are 18th, West Ham, who are 16th, and Southampton, who are 20th. They drew with Everton, who are 15th, and then lost to Fulham. So it seems like they beat teams that are near them, which would mean they probably beat us. But that's where it seems to be. And then they play anyone that's kind of better than them, and they seem to lose. So I'm just fearful of how many subs and changes he makes. I feel like it could disrupt it, but I think there are some decent players that are coming in. Spence will come back in, but I think he'll be telling in terms of next Thursday whether Spence starts, because for me he should be the starting. For me it should be Porro and Spence all the time. I think Spence looks better on the left, and I think Porro's offers quite a bit going forward. And I think Udogi is a good option as well, but they should be the ones that are starting for me.
I think we draw against Wolves. I'd quite happily take a point.
yeah.
For me, it's all about next Thursday now. So yeah, I've kind of lost interest until we go out of the Europa League or go through. Kind of lost interest in the Premier League.
So
Yeah.
if we run out of the Europa League, does that mean that you're not going to watch any more football them nights?
Well, being a content creator, I have to, I guess. But
yeah, okay. So the Wolves, I'll tell you now. Wolves, let me see. Where is my man called Luke? That man called Luke. Right, let me find him. Right, that man called Luke reckons we're going to win, don't you, Luke?
I do think we're going to win.
Yeah, I can see your
faith.
prediction. I can see the predictions you've done for today in my show, and I can see you've gone
Gonna do
2-1 to Tottenham. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I do think we'll win. I think we'll just edge it. I'm hoping that the players that do come in make a bit of an impact. I think you touched on it earlier. The Odebear one was a bit of a strange one before kickoff. Well, it went from one story being that he'd completely tore his hamstring and was out for 6 years to him being on the bench, but he didn't come on. So I wonder whether there is a little bit more to that, because I thought that it would bring him on for Johnson. So I thought I will probably get some more news on that in the coming days. But yeah, I do think we should beat Wolves. I think Wolves have now got a cushion as well. I don't think they're in danger of getting relegated, are they?
I've had 37 people do predictions so far, and 20 of them have gone for an away victory for Tottenham. So 20 out of the 37 have gone for an away victory.
Considering we're terrible, we still get loads of confidence, don't we? We was favourites for the Europa League despite being 12th, and you've got 20 out of, would you say, 32?
Yeah, 3. Hold on, I'm trying to see how many people have gone for home game. 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
8. So 8 people. So 20 people have gone for the away win. 8 people have gone for a home win, and 9 people have gone for a draw.
Daniel, I feel like we can all feel his pain, mate. I think this club has broken many a man and will continue to do so. Wolves win 2-1. Daniel's happy. He's happy from today's draw. Much improved under the new manager. No, I don't think. I think if he would have been in charge of Wolves all season, I think you'd have been well above where you are. But I just feel like you naturally relax a little bit. I feel like Spurs players have got a lot that they need to play for now. Like even the players that are coming in, like we just mentioned, you got players that are coming in and want to be in that starting team. Whereas I think that three that are down are gone. So Wolves might just have a little bit of like a relax. But with Cunha, I could definitely see him scoring against us. He's that sort of player that you could definitely see notch him.
What was the score, Graham? Was it the 2-2? Was it 2-2, 1-1?
I
know we went 2-0 up, but then or 1-0 up, and then they scored late. Was it? I think it was 2-2. For that second half, I remember they peppered our goal. I think it was 2-2 or 1-1. One of them.
Watertool.
Yeah, I think we went 2-0 up as well.
No, they went 1 up. Chan scored in the 7th minute. Benson scored and Brennan Johnson. And then Strand Larsen scored with a few minutes to go. I think there was a bit of controversy around it, wasn't it? If I remember rightly.
Scored another one. But again, they look good. I think it was the second half.
I like that Strand Larsen. I'm not saying he's elite level, but I like him. I think he looks like a solid little player.
Yeah.
So he'll probably cause us some sort of danger. Right. I think that's time to wrap it up. Nearly 12 o'clock. We've been on for an hour and 45 minutes. Is there any other bits and pieces that you'd like to add?
No.
I feel like we've covered off quite a bit there. What do we think for? I'm not going to stream before Frankfurt. So what do we think in the second leg? I know it's well early considering we just played, but what is everyone's thoughts on that? And then
we'll get through.
I love the
positivity. Yeah, Jose, like it.
We'll get through.
I love the positivity.
I've said all along that we'd get through, but you know, at the end of the day, we've got a draw tonight. We're still in it. We're still, you know, we're not like. Well, I think everyone's still in it, even though Lazio were beaten 2-0 by Bodo. I still think everybody's in it because everyone else has drawn apart from that game, isn't they?
Could you imagine if we get through and we have Bodo Glimt in the semi-final? I know they're still a good team, but you think you've got to beat a team from Norway to get into the Europa League final.
It's a crazy Europa League, isn't it? Because of
we'd find a way.
Because the Champions League don't drop down. This is it's a real unique competition now, isn't it? That you know who you can play at the very start. The amount of times where you kind of you finish top of your group and then you're drawing Barcelona who finished third in the Champions League. It's like, it's just ridiculous. But it would be typical Spurs to finish 17th and then win the Europa League. It was just a crazy club.
I don't think many clubs would have done something like that.
No, 100%. 100%. Yeah, they did look very good, to be fair.
Very
highlights. Yeah, just like Spurs, really organised.
So can I just point out, right, that Eintracht Frankfurt in their last home game they won 1-0 against Stuttgart.
Yeah.
Previous to that, they'd lost at home to Union Berlin 2-1. They were beaten by Bayer Leverkusen at home 4-1 prior to that. So there's receipts there. Recently, Eintracht ain't been national. They got beaten by Mainz at home 3-1.
They were really good until
these are all the electrics.
Until they lost Marmoush, they were really good, and then they lost Marmoush and never.
Tool at home against FC Augsburg. So yeah, so as soon as they've sold Marmoush, these are the kind of results that they've been getting since Marmoush went.
Yeah, I definitely don't think we're out of it. I don't think you're dead and buried. I did think that we needed to go in with a couple of goals advantage because I thought they were going to be better than they were. But I think if they're not as good as I thought they were going to be, maybe that will change in a second leg. But I thought that they would come up, be a little bit more up for it. So I thought we would have to be better. But yeah, looking at that game, I don't see. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that we don't go there and get a result.
I feel the same, Luke. I don't think after watching them tonight, I don't think they're as good as I thought they were. I think it'll be a really tough game, but
Mhm.
I think we could take it. I think it might go to penalties next week. I've got a feeling.
Oh, Brennan
Nice,
Johnson,
nice.
having a
I
big
don't
fight.
want my heart rate to elevate, mate. I want it to stay calm. So I just take the victory.
Yeah.
I don't want to go no penalties.
If that is the case, you are supporting the wrong club.
I know we're rubbish at shootouts, aren't we? Apart from
I'm talking about
84.
the heart rate. God, this club gets you going like no one's business.
I know when
And
I
then
watch
go-
us, I've got the Fitbit thing that tells me about my heart and all that. It doesn't elevate. I think the most I ever get to is about 73. So I don't go off the charts. I only get to about 73 beats per minute, and that's not bad at all.
The most of the time, the reason that I shout is because of VAR or referees. I'll be completely honest.
Yeah.
The amount of times where I just like, how can you be 2 yards away, and I'm in Poplar, and I could see that it was offside or whatever, and you can't. So it's normally the refs that get me going and screaming and chatting. And then go on, Raf, give us your positive predictions.
Listen,
Positive Pete over here.
Yeah, listen, usual better men than me. I think we're gonna get smacked 4-5-1. I do. I'm sorry, I haven't got that positivity after this game. I know people say obviously like they've won a lot of games and that. Lost a lot of games, but I just think the atmospheres. I think it's just them boys are gonna crumble. I think they're gonna crumble. I don't think necessarily gonna be Ange, but I can just see them literally stepping on that pitch and it'll just be like.
Do you know what though, Ryan? What I will say earlier on, someone was saying, yeah, but you know, we go to intimidating places and we didn't show up at places like Galatasaray and that. Now, what I will say is the lineup that we had out against Galatasaray, it weren't through rotation. We had so many fucking injuries at the time as well that the lineup we put out against Galatasaray at their place and in that intimidating atmosphere, yeah, they did play us off the park, no, admittedly, and we lost 3-2, but we've got more players this time round. And when you look at intimidation, you look at World Cup winner in Romero. You look at Rodrigo Bentancur, who's played in Copa Americas and World Cups and all that. They've played in intimidating atmospheres. So we've got players that have played in these kind of atmospheres before. So it's not as if we've got like a team of 11 Bergvals, because Bergval wouldn't have known all stuff like this. It's all new to him. We haven't got a team of 11 Bergvals. Vicario's played in hostile atmospheres in Italy. You know, if I start,
I remember rightly, Bergval was pretty poor against Galatasaray. If I remember rightly,
I thought
I'm pretty sure he struggled. There was a lot of youngsters, wasn't there?
But so to go to their ground, I know it's hostile and that, but I think that with the kind of player that we can pick for next week, it will be a far stronger team than what went to Galatasaray.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do agree with that. But I just think them first 20 minutes, half an hour, that is going to be so important. We just cannot concede in them first 20 minutes. If we concede one and then they're on top of us, we are in big, big trouble.
So the three of you, so Luke, Ryan, Nige, right? Do you three agree or disagree that we're a better counter-attacking side? We've had our better results when we played counter-attacking football, like when we beat Man City's, Man United away and stuff like that, where we countered. Do you think we're a better counter-attacking side? Because if we are a better counter-attacking side, then surely next Thursday plays into our hands, don't it?
I think we're good at defending, but we're not.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to who's going to take their chances more, because you see today, like, I think there's going to be big chances. Because, again, I've watched Frankfurt, not loads, but a few times, and normally their style is literally like a Bournemouth, is the minute you pass the ball out from Vicario, they're press.
Yeah.
But I watched them this time, they sat in like a 4-4-2 or just two behind a striker, and they sat back, and I thought, why are they doing that for? I think they were just trying to get us to come out and then counter-attack us. So I would be really interesting to see, are they going to go back to what they normally do? And that's when they play a 3 at the back. When they obviously this time they played a 2 at the back. So it's going to be really intriguing to see what they do.
I think with the counter-attacking, I think it's an easy assumption to make on the basis that I think we're better when we don't play against low blocks. So therefore, when teams come out against us, we look like we're more counter-attacking, but actually there's just a bit more space in behind because the teams are not just sat back. So I don't really feel like we're a better counter-attacking team. I feel like we're better when teams are coming at us, which a lot of teams are like that. So, but I definitely feel like we've got players that can capitalise on them if they were to come at us 100%. but I definitely feel like it's going to be a difficult game. But the first 10, 15 minutes, I think, are going to be absolutely key. If we go 1-0 up, it completely changes how the game's viewed upon. And then vice versa, if they go 1-0 up, then we can end up seeing gaps appear all over the place because we're chasing it. So, yeah, I do think we'll go through. I think we'll scrape it somehow. Yeah. So, right, guys. I know Ryan doesn't have his. Oh, you got an X account, haven't you? So everyone can share their own channels and everything. The links are all in the description below anyway. But yeah,
Ryan's ain't in the description below, is it?
It should be.
I can't believe it, Luke.
It's an X account.
What says Chris?
Oh, it's not changed. It will be in the description box.
I've been done over. I'm going, boys. See you later.
Who's Hubble Scope on?
That's the one that he was going to come, but he didn't in the end. I'll change it. I'll edit it, but I'll put you in there, right?
Do you know what? Someone asked earlier on my channel, because I'm dual streaming this, and they asked in my channel that they said in the comments, as the chap sitting next to Luke, has he got an account, a link so we can put it in? And I've gone and I've copied Chris and the account that was there and sent it to Ryan to put in the chat.
I'll put it in. He pulled out. He pulled out literally last second. Right. He said he's had some stuff going on. So, but I did put it in the StreamYard. I put it in there, but it must not have pulled through. Or maybe
so you can copy and paste, because I've put all our links. Well, I've put I've put all our links in the private chat.
Oh, have you?
If you copy and paste each one, then it will come up and it will show where we were all at. Apart from Ryan's, mate, because I didn't have yours.
He's Anja anyway. He's always saying Anja.
Yeah, don't go much way if you're not Anja. Honestly, I'm proper irate.
Yeah, do you know what, Ryan? Everyone is entitled to their opinion.
Yeah,
everybody, not just you. I'm talking about everyone. And
not Ryan. Honestly, not Ryan.
No, I sit on shows. With people where they're staunch Levy out or they're staunch Ange out. And at the end of the day, whether I share an opinion with it or not, at the end of the day, you can only put your opinion forward. Someone else puts their opinion forward, and you don't have to all agree. Do you know what I mean? So,
100%, yeah.
At the end of the day, everyone's got their own.
So it'd be pointless if we joined the stream and every single one of us just agreed with each other and we just sat there going, "Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right."
Exactly.
So go on. You can do your self promotions now.
But you're putting it into the. I've put all our links in there.
Yeah, they've already been in there. Yeah.
You've only put one, and you've only put Ryan's on there.
No, I think Ryan's been putting them.
Yeah, but
Ryan from your moderator has been putting them.
Yeah, and they've only appeared on my channel.
Oh, right, okay.
So your comments that you're getting, right, are from my channel. Yours. So when you see Ryan, can you see there's looks like a little staple next to it?
Yeah.
There's a picture. Well, everyone that's got a staple is watching from my channel.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone on my channel has been able to go to your channel, to Nige's.
Yeah.
To Dan's if they haven't done so already. But the only person that they can't do, so they can do all that from my channel, but your channel can't see it, so to speak.
Yeah, that makes sense. This dual streaming, hard work. Let me just post the last couple of.
Is it just me that dual stream then? Obviously, it must have been just me.
Yeah. No one else has said anything. So let me just double check.
Go on. Sorry, Nige, go on. He did ask you the question.
What did he ask?
What are you doing? Where are you? What channel? What are you doing when you're on and whatever?
Self promotion, mate.
Yeah, Pure Coys. I got a show Saturday night, No Mud in the Pub. So yeah, come along to that. We don't really talk football. We just talk life, and there'll be another Beyond the Lane with the Dan List on Tuesday at 7:30.
So Nigel's Saturday show. Whoever's on it and whoever's watching it normally has a drink in their hand.
Definitely a drink, and it might get a bit spicy. We might talk about other things.
Yeah.
It's a laugh.
Me,
usually good laugh.
Me, I've had a busy day today. I don't think I've come off YouTube since I finished work.
I've seen you all day. It's been brilliant.
I've just been on one show after another today, so I'm so glad I've come to the end of it. I've got my grandchildren visiting tomorrow, which I'm so looking forward to. So I did my prediction show a day early. It was done today. So anyone that's watching this on playback, if you do predictions, make sure you stick them in the stream. I will be back on. My plan is to be back on Sunday with my morning show with Chang, where we talk the last week of Tottenham, which will include tonight as well. It'll include the Sunday's game from last week, and it'll include a preview for Wolves as well. So I'll do that on Sunday. Next week, the results show won't be till next Thursday because we've got a Premiership game taking place next Wednesday. But I'm off work after tomorrow for a week. So you may see more of me on screen and on my own channel next week rather than me appearing on everyone else's channels. So there you go. But if you fancy it, I'm at El Tocopera.
Predictions are brilliant, by the way. Absolutely brilliant concept.
Nige, do you remember you can put yours in after the stream? I've done the stream already, so if you want to leave yours in there, the fixtures I've left them on the stream so you can see them. Just pick your scores from there.
Yeah, we'll do that. I've missed about the last 5 weeks.
Highly recommended. It's not much work. It's not much work for him. He's
yeah, not for you. That ain't much work for me. It's just murder. When I first came on and you lot were chatting, I was putting in people's predictions.
I knew you was. I was looking at you thinking he's far too engrossed in what he's doing. I bet he's doing predictions.
No, I was listening to you lot, and then I was able to talk, but I was had to put people's predictions in as well because there's a lot of people that have left them after the stream.
And then, last but not least, go on, Bri. Plug your ex and then your potential YouTube account that you might make.
Yeah, no, I won't be doing YouTube. Don't worry about that. I'll let you do that. I'll be watching you all the time. Don't worry. But,
sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, my X is basically just my name the other way around. It's Hanmore_Ryan on X if you want to follow me. If you don't want to follow me, give me abuse. I don't mind. I'll give it back, but just be nice.
No Angie, no Angie.
Check it all out.
Right, guys. I really appreciate you all coming on. It's really therapeutic talking about Spurs when they're annoying and they draw and lose. So, yeah, appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. Hopefully you'll all be on again soon. But from us now, just come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.